I have public speaking issues. I'm just trying to force myself to talk normally. Okay, so basic human anatomy. What I mean by basic human anatomy is that it's like if I give you a pose, you should be able to just not. You're supposed to like be able to draw it, but not like in terms of gestures. More like break it down to simple shapes, and at least know how the skeleton works. So, in order to do this, you have to take a look at proportions first. That's the most important. So, I sketched this out in like 2 minutes just now. This is the basic proportions of a human. Humans are on average 7 to 9 heads tall, but we usually go for 8 because 8 is a nice number and can be divided nicely like this. So first, the height of humans is you will use heads as a measure for this one. And when you're drawing humans, there are some reference points that you can take, and we call those landmarks. And you should try. You don't really have to remember all of them, but the more you remember, the better you, or the easier it will be to draw some of these poses. You can see where things line up, and you can just check. So, some reference points. So some important things about like proportions that you have to notice is that humans are half legs. So this entire bottom part here is all legs. It's all 4 heads tall. And the middle point here is the knees, obviously. So 2 heads, 2 heads. Then the rest of the body, the upper body, will be also 4 heads. And this is where we're going to focus on for now. So you don't have to know like the details of the skeleton, but you should at least know how to sketch out the ribcage and the pelvis. There are simpler ways to do this, which I will cover later. But for now, we just talk about the proportions. So the pelvis is almost as tall as a head, and about slightly wider as a head. The ribcage is about also slightly taller than a head. I'm not going to go into specifics. Usually, this kind of stuff you can just rough out. The more you sketch, the more you get used to it. Your arms will hang by the side here because of your clavicle. And the joint in your arm here will be in between this gap between the ribcage and the pelvis. I'm honestly not even sure if this diagram I'm not even sure if this diagram that I do is correct, because usually between the ribcage and the pelvis, the gap is usually quite small. It's a lot smaller than people think. Because of the way some poses are, some people actually think the pelvis is a lot flatter. But no, it's actually a lot taller. Some people associate the height of the pelvis as where the leg starts, but the legs really only start like halfway into the pelvis. The rest is just all here. Another important landmark you can take note of would be this gap in the pelvis, in this arc in the ribcage. By right, they're supposed to line up. So this is one way to check. If you have a pose that has the body bent, you can draw contour lines to make sure these parts here line up. Another thing here will be this part of the pelvis, the edge, because this is something that on some models you can actually see. Sometimes the muscles or fats will just rest on top of here like a muffin top. So this is where you can usually tell where the pelvis starts. And another tip that I've also seen that isn't always true, but it's true most of the time, is that this line where the pelvis starts is also where the belly button is. So yeah, that's all the basic landmarks that I usually think of. There are obviously more, but yeah, there are a lot more landmarks that you might slowly pick up over time. But these are like the basic. But these are just some of the very basic and important ones. Another thing to take note of is the side view. when we stand up straight, our spine isn't exactly straight. Obviously, nobody's spine is straight. It's all gay. So the spine is made up of a few curves like this. There's one on the rib cage, and one where it curves back down on the pelvis and wraps around the ass. Usually, if there was some muscles, you can actually see it better because of the ass muscles. So that there's usually going to be this curve here. There's a C curve and the S curve. These are some things that might help if, like, let's say you're gonna do gesture drawings. And also the legs. The legs don't go down straight; they curve. The front part of the legs curve outwards like this, and the back curve like this. And it might be a lot easier to see if there are muscles, especially for the lower leg, because you have the calves. So this form will be a lot more clearer. It goes like this, and like this, and the feet should be a lot bigger. Oops. Oh yeah, and one more landmark that I use is the hands. The hands should start somewhere at the thigh. Somewhere here, like this. So, but I would say maybe this elbow one is a lot more important, because if I was going to raise my hand at whatever angle, I can always just check back to wherever this gap is, and okay, the elbow's there. So that's always that's another good way to check. That's one that I always use. Okay, that's pretty much it for proportions. What else do I have? Okay. So, usually in all these figure drawing classes, what they usually start out with is how to simplify the main body itself without the limbs, aka this portion here. So you want to be able to draw the rib cage and the pelvis, but you don't usually start out by going it. Oops. You don't usually start out by going into like so much detail where you draw out everything. Like you can maybe with a bit of practice, but even I don't do this sometimes. You don't really put this much detail into a rib cage. You usually just simplify into a circle. It's good enough. Okay, maybe not a circle. Maybe just like an egg, because that's usually the shape of a rib cage. And for the pelvis, you can also choose to simplify it into a circle like this, or some people like to simplify into a bucket, like this bucket shape, which is what I use. And slowly over time, you can start chiseling in some details. But this will usually come after. First, they will have to teach you how to draw the body itself, and the body would be a combination of the ribcage and the pelvis. So when put together, it would create like this bean shape. So this is what this technique is called, the bean. So if let's say I had a body that twisted. Let me just do a quick sketch from here. So let's say I had a body that twisted like this, and I want to draw it using the bean method. I can start sketching, like, let's say, the ribcage, the pelvis, and throw in some overlapping forms like this. Okay, wait, no, not like that. And draw this middle line, like we said in the gesture lesson. If you throw in these overlapping lines like this, it would show some. It will show some of the form. It will show the twist, which is very important for like twisty poses, or in some poses where the body will be bent over. You have the body, and you just go like this. It's literally just a bean. Like, that's it. So they will in classes they will usually just ask you to practice this by giving you a bunch of different poses, and you try and draw this. You try and draw it in this bean pose over and over again until you roughly get how it's done. And that's why even in animation, some of the first few exercises that they give animators would be to animate a flour sack, because a flour sack is basically this bean thing. It'll be segmented like this, and yeah, ribcage, pelvis, same concept. That's why they always start out animators with a flour sack. It's basically just a bean. But the bean isn't the only way to break down a body. There's another similar method called the robo bean. It's that's the image I was using to just now. It's this same image. So yeah, that. So if you look at the image that Shabi sent in VC chat, there are landmarks all over the body, but I would say the ones on the limbs, maybe you can choose not to focus on the ones on the limbs for now. You can maybe when you get more into anatomy, when you're a bit more advanced, then you can start looking into it. For now, just focus on the ones on the body, and yeah, especially the ones I mentioned. Okay, now where was that? Okay, yeah, back to the bean. So the first method here they call it the The first method here they call it the bean, but the second method which is the one I prefer, is referred to as the robo bean. Give me a second, let me drink some water. Okay, so the robo bean. Same thing, you have a form for your ribcage and your pelvis, except this time you break it down into cuboids. So I have something like this. And this really helps you visualize where the planes will break. And it lets you visualize the body a little bit better. I don't know, some people prefer the first method, some people prefer the second method. I prefer the second method because I can actually see more detail. But sometimes you also want to use a combination of both. It has its pros and cons. So with the robo bean, it helps you to break down the main body into a simple shape. And with this is a good way to start sketching. But yeah, you might not be able to see the curves and all, but you're just getting a sketch of the body. So this is the most important part. The most important part of starting out, the body itself. Yeah, as far as I know, there are only these two ways. These are the most common ways. So you can try and use these. And now we go on to the rest, like breaking down the rest of the body into simple shapes. For limbs, we're not even going to talk about limbs. Limbs are just cylinders. Just draw cylinders is good enough. Like, if I say I want to draw an arm, just draw some cylinders and it should be fine. Maybe where the arm is, just break it down to this cube shape here. But yeah, whether you're drawing limbs or legs, cylinders should be enough. It helps. And sometimes if some people ask, I've seen some people struggle with how do I connect these limbs to the body, especially the legs. Okay, for these, you usually don't want to think about the joints too much. You don't want to think about where they connect too much, because this is just a very rough version of the body. So if let's say I want to draw some legs, I will just draw it like this. It will go underneath. It will go underneath the pelvis like this. if I want to draw it in front, it would just be in front. The pelvis doesn't really rotate much depending on the leg. Oh yeah, and one more thing that my lecturer used to emphasize a lot is that when you have a model that is sitting, the pelvis does not rotate. The pelvis is always going to be upright like this. So that means the legs are just going to be sitting like this as well. Simple. Okay. And next would be the head. The head, there are many ways. There are quite a few ways to break it down into simpler ways. But the two simplest ways would be just to break it down into a cuboid like this, or a cylinder. Like so. And if you want to, and after a while, if you want to go take it a step further, you can start actually constructing it from a circle. But that will maybe we'll save it for another time. So usually after constructing the head like this, you would start to mark out some parts and start chiseling out the head from this block here. And that's basically all the basic tips I have for this. So I'll try and find a pose and we'll just draw over it to break it down, to show it an example. Okay, I'll try and find a nice pose. Okay. Okay, we'll just do this one. So I'm not supposed to be tracing over it, but for the sake of demonstration, I'll just trace over it. So first, this is a bit hard to see because there's some clothing here, but the pelvis will be somewhere here, and the rib cage will be here. So you can start breaking it down like this. And if you can, take note of some of the plane breaks. Observe how the body tilts. So for this case, it's quite front facing, but I can see a little bit of the side here. So I'll just make a little bit of the side more visible. And for the arms, like I said, we can just break down to cylinders. And be careful for arms because the arms would taper, especially muscular arms. Foreshortening, fuck. Legs, same concept. Legs also taper, remember. So something like this. You can start learning how to break it down to simple shapes like this. And yeah. Okay. So this will take a bit of practice. You can try doing the same thing with gestures, except instead of giving yourself short times, give yourself longer times, or maybe don't even give yourself a time. Maybe you can slowly look at it and break it down. And you can also start. Oh yeah, while we're at it, we can also start looking for landmarks. Okay, hold on. This ribcage is a bit short. So for this, we can find that arc in the. You can see a bit of that arc in the ribcage. And if the model was nude, we can also probably see a bit of the this arc here as well. Oh yeah, and one more thing that I've mentioned earlier. Remember what I said about the pelvis? That it has this arc here, and whenever you see muscles around here, it would just rest on top like this, like a muffin top kind of shape. This is the shape we're looking for. This right here. This is resting on top of the. It's resting on top of the pelvis. So it's kind of stuff like it's shapes like this that you want to look out for. But at this point, we're going a bit too much into actual anatomy, which I think might have to save for another day. So let's take another pose, for example. Okay. Let's reuse this same pose from the gesture class. Or did I even use this in the gesture class? I don't remember. Okay, so let's try this again. So for this, we can actually see the body a bit clearer now. So for the body, I can see the ribcage should be here. The pelvis also tilts in this. Okay, no, I was wrong. The pelvis is a lot lower. And we have to look for that muffin top shape, which is down here. You can see where the muscle rests here. And here. So this will be the pelvis. And same thing, you can draw the middle line. And for the rest, and same concept for the limbs, you can draw cylinders. But one thing you should take note of is you should be able to tell where the cylinder is facing. For example, if I can draw this arm in two ways. Let me demonstrate. So if I draw it like this and like this, it looks very different because one is moving towards the camera and one is moving away from the camera. So this is where contour lines will also help. Like, contour lines help a lot in foreshortening, but sometimes you don't even have. Sometimes it doesn't have to be foreshortened for you to use contour lines. You can use contour lines anywhere. So in this case, I can see that the arm here is moving away from the camera. So I'll just use this one. And this arm here looks like this. If you really need to, you can just put like circles where the joints are. I'm not going to bother the hands. Same concept with the legs. For now, we're not gonna focus too much on the muscle definition. That will come in. That maybe another time. So yeah. Oh right, forgot to hit. Sometimes like this, it will get a bit messy with a lot of overlapping shapes, but it just be like this sometimes. So, yeah, something like this. For stuff like where this, for details like this, you can choose to add in or not, because generally for something like this, it would be for a sketch. But if you're doing this for a study, I would recommend you try and look for all these extra forms here. Maybe when I cover a bit more of the anatomy of the front body, then you can start mapping out all the other muscles. And the moment you go more into the muscles, you might want to try and use this RoboBean method a lot less, because this is not a good way to see the muscles sometimes. Okay, so what else do I have? Yeah. Okay, just as an example. Okay, just an example. I'll just show you like some of my. I'll show you some of my sketches that I did for my classes. So, for the RoboBean, it will be something like this. Now there are some proportion issues here, but this was when I was just starting out. So, but yeah, you usually want to try and see if you can break it down to simple shapes like this. Then slowly you can move on to full body sketches. We can start breaking it down even more like this. And what else? Something like this. But if you ever do stuff like this, you have to be very, very observant. You can't. If you want to eyeball, be very careful when you eyeball. Look at how much of the side of the body shows and how much of it doesn't. You want to be very careful. You have to be very careful with stuff like this. And if they're holding any props, you can just eyeball the props. No one gives a shit about the props. Okay. Any questions so far? I'll see how much I can actually answer. And I'm gonna go get a drink. What do you mean by cranking? This one? You're supposed to be sitting on something. There's a fucking stuff here. That's not a crank. Crank that soldier boy. Actually, that's a pretty good pose to practice on. I don't. I don't know. You guys want to do it? Just do it. But
Everyone starts streaming. You have to show your work.
it's a fucking Zoom class.
Turn on your webcams.
Okay.
I need to.
Oh my god. Oh god, I hate that.
God, yeah, I've had like experience with that. It's really like bizarre when they like say, turn on your webcam so we know you're here. I'm just like, but you know my voice by now.
Zoom class.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Zoom be like.
Ooh man. Oh god. Okay, I would go more into anatomy, but I think what everyone else is more interested in is how to translate all of this into Pokemon. So,
Yeah, you have a solid half dozen furries in here that are just foaming at the mouth, looking for how do I put this on a Riolu?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I want to talk about next, because I can go on about human anatomy, but I think a lot of you won't really care that much. So
It's good to
it's all
learn the
about
fundamentals.
but that's pretty much all. But I'm pretty much done with the fundamentals already. If I go more into anatomy, it's like it's a bit extra for what would be needed, I guess. So yeah, you can use this same concept to break it to like find. Hold on, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so you can use this same concept of finding where the ribcage and pelvis are to break it down into Pokemon. So, uh, you can if you give me some Pokemon, I can probably try and break it down. So, anyone have any suggestions? Any human-like Pokemon? For okay, like Lycanroc.
Snom.
That
That looks really tough.
okay. We'll talk about Lycanroc later because that's feral anatomy. That's like animal anatomy, which I will briefly touch on later. Okay, Zeraora, Zora, Lucario. Okay, furry bait. Okay, let's talk about Lucario first. Okay. So Lucario's head is basically just a wolf head. I think a lot of you already know how to draw this, so I'm not gonna talk about that. For the body, holy fuck, Lucario is a tiny ribcage. This thing, this fucking jelly bean here is his ribcage. It's super tiny, but it's there. And as for the pelvis, okay, this one is a bit hard. It's a bit hard to tell where the pelvis starts. So, but this is usually just. But you don't have to care about anatomy that much, so you can just start to eyeball some stuff. So for me, I'll use my uh, bucket method. So I'll map out the pelvis like this. Because Lucario has a really weird lower body shape. Now, some people might say that it's a bit extra to put anatomy in Pokemon like this, but these Pokemon are all designed by people at Game Freak. So they're all designed by people at Game Freak. there is anatomy in the. It was made with anatomy in mind for, I would say, almost all of them. Okay, so simple like this. Now Lucario isn't exactly very muscular, so yeah, almost. Now Lucario isn't exactly very muscular, so you can still use the cylinder method. Oh my god. You can still use the cylinder method to break it down. But do not but do keep track of sorry, what the fuck is that? Oh my god. Okay. So for the most part it's all the same. But you have to take note of extra but take note of the different parts. For example, the hands. The hands are more like the hands are more like cuboids rather than cylinders because they're pretty wide and flat for both arms. So you can start using stuff like this. You start using shapes like this to break it down, as opposed to on a human. And for the thighs, I honestly don't even know how to draw the fucking thighs. They're just so wide. Like I don't know what is a good way to break this down. Like you start with huge. huge, very wide cylinders, but you have to be wary of this gap here. The reason why I didn't mention this gap when I was talking about humans is because this gap is usually not so important. It's usually quite small. But on Lucario, it's so fucking huge that you have to be careful with it. You have to know that there is some muscle mass in here. Okay, let's try another one. What's the next one? Zoroark. Okay, let's do Zoroark.
Hey, I'm on break right now, by the way.
Yay!
Also, this
Zoroark
class has been going on for about 2 hours.
Oof.
Or like this lesson that you're teaching right now. I don't know. Zoroark's got fucking... He's got a stick for a body, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for some Pokemon, it's like... Okay. There is definitely anatomy in there, but it's...
Like what you
really...
said, almost all Pokemon have some sort of anatomy in mind.
Yeah, oh my
Almost.
god, Lurio. Oh my god, Lurio.
Oh my god, Lurio.
Why would you go into that much fucking detail?
Your dance model.
Oh god.
It's a weird topology for a model. Okay, so Zoroark kind of really fucking weird. The body is a stick. I'm sure there's a ribcage in here somewhere, but the ribcage is also going to be really fucking tiny like this. Usually for stuff like this, you can just eyeball. You can just eyeball it. Don't think too much about the anatomy. Don't even start going for all the details. Just draw circles. Trust me, it's good enough.
Draw circles. An artist's best friend, a circle.
Just analyze, maybe sketch it a few times until you get used to it. And oh my god, the arms are so fucking thin. But yeah, in this case, it's still cylinders.
Stick Pokemon.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
Circles
talk about
are
the
scary. Circles aren't
we'll talk-
scary.
Yes, they are. Imagine drawing a perfect circle.
Imagine drawing a perfect... Draw a circle, then? I would, but I'm in class right now. Actually, I'm on break. I just don't feel like pulling my tablet out.
Okay, last one.
Hey, look, it's Zapcat. He's got thin-ass arms as well.
Yeah, for some reason these Pokemon have thin-ass arms, but... Okay, procedure's the same. Arm is thin. Hands are wide, so maybe this one can use a cuboid. It might make a lot more sense. But at least this body has a bit more mass inside. Like you can, like the ribcage makes sense to be here. The pelvis makes sense to be here. So, in the end, the bodies of all these Pokemon are all very similar to that of the humans. So, it's pretty much there. It's once you can get it down on how it looks like on a human, it can translate quite well over to Pokemon. Okay, what else was I planning on teaching?
Would you call Mewtwo human-like?
Yep.
Maybe
Mewtwo is-
try Mewtwo then? I don't know.
Okay. I'll just do. Okay, Mewtwo's the last one before I move on to whatever that one more thing is that I wanted to try.
Fair enough. Yeah, Zoroark's got a...
Noodle
His
body.
body's just a cylinder.
Okay.
One thin-ass cylinder. Anyways, what are you saying?
Nothing. It's just so fucking skinny.
God,
Okay.
his lower leg is so fucking skinny. Mewtwo's.
Okay, Mewtwo has a bit more muscle definition. for some reason the earlier generation of Pokemon have more anatomy in it. Hey, shouty. So-
Shouty? Like hash brownie? Fuck, now I'm
So-
hungry.
On Mewtwo, there's a lot more definition. So you can actually see, you can very, very clearly see this is the ribcage. You can even see where all the muscles are, like it's the front, and the pelvis. I'm assuming would be somewhere here. Is that the fucking Persona music?
It's stuck in my head, bro. I can't help it.
Da, 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 da.
Ah, for fuck's sake.
Okay, so Mewtwo has a very clear body shape. So you can actually, if you actually spend time on it, you can actually see where all the muscles is. But usually for the pelvis it's a lot harder. So for the pelvis, I'll just recommend you just draw a circle. Good enough. And this tail here, don't get fooled by it. This is not body. This is just a tail. This is just the tail going around. The body pretty much ends here. So, yeah. In the end, it's all the same. In the end, it's just all. It's all very similar to a human. It's all based off a human, so it's all very similar.
I mean, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ah, for fuck's sake. I'm muting the bot.
Okay, like I knew someone was gonna do it.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to do it, but nobody did it, so I'm doing it.
No.
Okay.
Fuck.
Okay. The last part of what I want to cover is animal anatomy, basic animal anatomy. And when I say basic, I mean like all that I know, because what I'm learning is also pretty basic.
You're still learning about animal anatomy.
Honestly, not really, because I'm pretty much nearing the end of my semester, and my last assignment, my final assignment for this class is to animate a walk cycle of a quadruped.
I mean, you already did.
Yeah, the Umbreon.
So, yeah.
I showed this in my lecture, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, it's good to submit." So I'm like 3 weeks ahead of schedule.
Wow.
I panicked a bit too much, and then I had this. Okay. So for this I'm not really gonna talk. For this I'm gonna focus more on the legs, because because I think we all draw Pokemon. We care more about how the legs work. But just in case, I'm gonna cover like all the 3 different kinds of legs. So I'm gonna use very technical terms here, so you don't have to remember. But I'm gonna use them anyways, because that's like the only way I know how to refer to them. So for the quadrupeds that I learned, there are 3 kinds of legs. The first is the plantigrade. God, I can't. Yeah, oh my god, I can't write in smoothing. I turn the smoothing on. Plantigrade.
Their moves.
Yeah,
They
the
are
second one
fresh.
is Digitigrade. And the last one is Unguligrade. Like I said, these are very technical terms. You don't have to remember. It's not important. I just want to write out for like no reason.
What's even the last term?
Unguligrades are like horses, cows, goats, pigs. Pigs?
Okay.
So, like a
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, let's talk about plantigrades first, because plantigrades are
Plantigrades are just human legs.
yeah, pretty much. So let's say this would be our pelvis for all of them. You have this your femur, legs here, your foot, and your toe. This is how a this is how a plantigrade leg looks. This is this is what we humans have. This is what bears have. This is what rodents have. Like, I don't know, rats, rabbits, squirrels. They're all plantigrades. Unguligrades. Wait, but by the way, I'm talking about like the hind. I'm talking about like the way I'm going to draw it is going to basically be like the hind legs, but
Yeah.
But for the front legs, it's more or less the same also. So next, unguligrades. So you have your femur, leg, foot, toe. Okay, unguligrades are really fucking weird because they walk on what's essentially the equivalent
toe.
of
Or the nail.
The nail. So the nail would basically be the hoof.
The hoof
So-
is just one giant nail.
Yeah, so you have stuff like this. And that's basic, and that's a basic unguligrade. And
Digitigrade's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure all of us know what it is.
yep, your
We even
dogs.
went over it. We even went over it in our gesture class.
Yep,
So
and so everybody wants to learn how to
every furry should know what digitigrade is.
May I actually
Yep.
ask just for because I've never heard the term before, if that's okay, please.
Ah,
Uh,
wait, what?
sorry,
Sorry,
sorry about
sorry,
that.
what was that? What was that? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was asking if it would be okay if I'd be able to hear what digitigrade is, because I haven't heard this term before.
Oh no, yeah, I'm going to cover it anyways. Okay,
Thank you.
so digitigrades will be like your dogs, your cats, basically your generic furry legs, because literally every fucking furry is a wolf or a dog. So
Basically, any canine species.
Are you kidding me? What the fuck is this call out?
It's now. It's
Oh, now he speaks. Okay.
So yeah, pretty straightforward. This entire part here.
Bunga grade grow. Oh my god, Tosh.
This entire part here is feet. This entire part is feet. Digitigrades stand on their toes. So this upper part here will be legs, and this will be your forearm. This will be the lower leg, which is really short. The bone here is really short, so yeah. And sometimes for smaller animals that they usually have more fats, it would just curve like this. Like maybe like Umbreon.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly draw the division too much unless it's I don't draw the division between those two bones a lot unless it's really bent at such a sharp angle. But otherwise it would just be one long curve like this. It's basically a chicken leg. And what else? So yeah, this is what most people really care about, the legs, the shape and kind of legs.
Legs are hard.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, but if you need to, you can always use the Sharpie's method, which is the
The
lightning
lightning
bolt.
bolt effect? Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what the skeleton here is. It's but one thing you have to be careful. But one thing I want to talk about is you have to be careful because if you want to draw a lightning bolt, your lightning bolt, it can look like this, or it can look like this. Some legs will bend upwards, some legs will bend downwards. Oh my god, it's the SS.
Huh?
It's the SS. Okay, so yeah. Yes. Okay, so some legs will bend upwards like this, some legs will bend downwards like this. I would say it's more natural for it to be like this. Because
So
usually this
stable.
would be very compressed. The loose waffle. Okay, so hold on. Is it- okay. Let's bring up Lucario again, because why not? So Lucario has Digitigreat legs. Or fuck it, I'll just call it dog legs from now, because that's a lot easier to say. So you have your femur here, this part that bends backwards here, your toe, no, your foot, and then the toe.
Your foot, then toe.
And Lucario's legs are a lot skinnier, so you can actually see this division here. Then the toe, it would taper here, then the toes would get wider, like so.
Car's legs are weird. They're sort of a mix between Digity and Planty, in my opinion.
No, not really. It's completely Digitigreat. Look, the only difference between these three legs is how they stand on the ground. So this one, so Lucario basically tiptoes everywhere, so that's a Digitigreat leg. It's the same for Zoroark.
And that's pretty obvious.
Look like this, lightning bolt. So yeah, femur, lower leg, foot, toe. Showing up. Let's do Zero Aura. Oh, would you look at that? It's the exact same shit again. Femur, lower leg, feet. Okay, it's not on the ground, but this will be the toe. I'll just draw it like it's on the ground. I'll just draw it like it's on the ground. And since Mewtwo is here, let's do Mewtwo as well. Okay, Mewtwo is a bit it's a bit hard to see.
He's still mostly standing on his toes, though, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he's still standing on his toes, so he's technically still Digitigrade.
Wait a fucking minute, what's going on in the legs?
Peach's legs are weird, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, no, hold on a second. I'm gonna go look at other Mewtwo images. Maybe I can find one that's a bit easier to break down.
It has
What's this?
toes, then it has a backup toe.
A backup toe.
Backup toe.
Back up. Oh, okay, there we go. This one's a better image. The smash render. So we can actually see it a lot better here. But femur, bend backwards, toe, and foot, toe. So all of these also follow that lightning bolt shape. Here, 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 here. So, like I said, most of them usually would bend downwards. But for Zoroark, it would bend upwards a little bit, but that's only because Zoroark is kind of hunched over. So, yeah, that's basically it for the legs.
I'm not
Okay,
sure when my class starts again.
Okay,
I have an hour left.
Oh my god! Well, I just gotta sit through that one more hour. Okay,
I
I'll
really
cover.
don't wanna.
Okay, I'll cover like one last thing before I call it done.
Is it like
And
super
then-
late? Is it like 3 a.m. or something?
It's almost 3 a.m.
Why don't we just do like a start to finish drawing of something?
Oh,
Just a sketch,
what?
quick sketch, start to finish drawing of one of these. Looks like people
Oh,
are
no.
just like how would you approach like a Lucario? Like just like a quick.
He's done it multiple times.
How
Yeah.
would I approach
Shabby,
the
what
card?
the fuck is that?
Oh, that's plantigrade Lucaria.
I don't like that.
No, thank you.
I think
No,
class
thank
is starting.
No, thank you.
Oh no.
I think
Yeah, this
Oh
is-
god.
This is cursed. I
Oh, God.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
like
God.
that.
I
Oh,
hate it.
God.
I hate it so much. Okay.
I hate it.
It's just my art style.
Yes, fuck.
Just my art style.
Shabby's finally taken my advice to heart. If it looks wrong, just say it's your art style.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh god.
What was I gonna cover again? Oh yeah. Okay. The final part of this so-called lesson. How to break down animals into simple shapes. Like yeah, it would help to know a bit of the skeleton here, but honestly, I'm way too lazy. I'm way too lazy to do that, so we're not gonna do that. So for most for most animals that stand on four legs, there's usually a good standardized way to break them down. So the body would be broken down into three shapes. One would just be like a wedge. Something like this. And this would be where the neck goes. And this corner here is very important because some animals you can actually see this corner here, so it actually is important. And the middle part of the body would just
my
be.
Zoom call's so loud. I don't like it here. Let me out.
Oh no.
So too bad. And the middle part of the body would just be like a cylinder, and the final part would just be this cuboid thing. There's a reason for these kinds of shapes because, okay, for the body it's just a cylinder. There's really nothing much to go off there. But for this pelvic region, we use a cuboid because sometimes you can actually see the pelvis sticking out. So you can use these two corners as landmarks. It might not be clear all the time, and it usually isn't. But the front part of this wedge is very important also because, like I said, the corners will pop out a lot. You know what? Give me a second. I'm gonna go look for an image of a dog or something so I can show. Let's scroll through hourly wolves until I find one. No. The fuck is this? This is not related to the lesson, but I feel like you should all see this. Why is almost every single image a front view?
What are you looking for?
Just looking for like a good side view image where I can actually see the form. Something that's actually easy to demonstrate.
Oh, you're talking about like canid anatomy?
Yep.
Oh, I got you.
I mean, it works for almost any four-legged animal, but it works. But you know, dogs, cause everyone draws dogs anyways. So, oh yeah, Mystic's dog.
Whoosh.
Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. I found
Oh
this image.
shit, that's my dog.
I thought
Why
it
do you
was some
still have
random-
that image?
It was a reference image.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, I said
I thought you
someone
just
draw
Googled
this,
that.
and then I'm pretty sure Advos drew it.
Yeah, I think I drew it.
Yeah, you
thought
did,
that
and I
was
saved
you.
it, and it's amazing.
Okay, so let's take this for example. So like the three shapes we talked about, you can already kind of see it here. The first one is this weird wedge shape. So I would say the side plane would be here and here, and this corner here is usually quite visible. Like you can actually see a bit of the. Oops, you can actually see a bit of where it breaks. So this would be where the corner is, and yeah, on dogs the necks would be quite thick as well. It's actually not so thick, but it's because of the fur that is thick. So you can just go off that. That's good enough. For the middle part of the body, there's nothing much. It's just a cylinder. Usually the end towards the back is a lot smaller than it is in front, so it's a good shape you can try and take note of. And the back, you can just use this cuboid style shape. And remember what I said about the pelvis, the points here. Yeah, this one it's not really visible here, but it's just good practice to actually just show it. Because if you look closer, you can actually see a bit of that line here. So it's just good. It's just a good way to divide it. So whatever animal you're drawing, like if this even works on horses. Like in my classes, we started out on horses. So we will do things like this. The same three shapes would break down like this. But if you're doing this on canines and felines, cats and dogs, one thing I would say you would have to be careful of would be this top part here. Cats and dogs have a very pronounced. I think these would be considered shoulders. So sometimes when you see them walk, you can actually see this shoulder part sticking out. All right, let's bring back the Umbreon animations. It's the same thing. You can see that bump on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Because that's something you also have to try and bring out whenever possible. But once again, if let's say you're drawing something that's a lot fatter, chubbier, maybe smaller, it might not come out. It might not come out as much. So, yeah. And once you have the basic body shape, you can basically just join the legs. Just join the legs. Find out where the anatomy is. And one mistake I've seen people make quite a few times is that this part here bends backwards. Remember that it bends backwards. For some reason, I've seen people draw it bend forwards, which just doesn't look right. But yeah, it bends backwards. And let's do one more example before I call it a day. For real. Let's bring back the shaved husky again.
Ooh.
Oh. Oh, that I don't like that. I don't like it.
Nobody likes
Oh
it.
my
Wait,
god!
hold on, what the fuck?
Oh my god!
Nobody likes this image, but it's a good way.
Real?
It's real. It's a real image. I'll send it to the chat.
Oh my god.
It's a good way
But the
of
reason-
showing like how much mass
my
the
God.
uses.
Yeah, like remember what I said about the oh my god, 25 for us. Okay, remember what I said about the corner? Remember what I said about the corner? Yeah, it's right here. The corner is right here. You can actually see this sharp angle here. That is the corner. The wedge would go here. This would be the corner, and then you have your rest of the cylinder down here, and your pelvis, which I honestly can't really see what's going on here. Like, yeah, it's not a nice image to look at, but it's good to see the anatomy.
I think it's really helpful.
Well, yes,
It
but
is.
the image is kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
It's
okay,
like
it's
super
education.
cursed.
But it's suffering. But art is suffering.
It almost looks photoshopped, to be honest.
Yeah, it
Like,
does look Photoshop.
I mean, the quality is pretty low, so it's for all we know, it could be. Or then again, if we blew it up a lot. Like, so yeah,
Oh, God.
this translates over to Pokemon as well. So if I want to draw any dog Pokemon, I will usually always just break it down and say, okay, no, not this one. This one is
Lycanroc with no brim, I see.
yeah.
Oh no.
That same cursed image that Toshabi hates. I'm not going to use the shade one. So even for like Lycanroc, you can still try and break the body down to stuff like this. Except some of these things are just not important because it's covered in so much fur. Like, oh, holy shit. That bump on the shoulder, it's gone. It's covered in fur. This edge here, it's gone. It's also covered in fur. All these things you can just ignore if it's covered in fur. And if you're drawing something like Okay, no, Eevee is covered in fur as well. But okay, okay, you know, let's say Umbreon again. Realistically, if you're drawing an Umbreon is a bit chubbier, so you would actually see you actually will see all these hard lines like the shoulders and this whatever this hard edge here. It would just be very curvy. Well, it just kind of depends on what. Oh my god, to show you what the fuck is that? Okay then. Yeah, so that's basically all I have. Just bring back the shaved dog.
You can see the shoulder at the top there, and when he's shaved.
Yep, but I think I got it wrong here because it's supposed to be behind a bit more. Okay, yeah, I think that's all I have for this class. I
Thank you
think
for doing this. It's really
Uh,
helpful.
I need to try not do this at like 3 a.m.
May I ask if you'd be doing more of these in the future? Because I really enjoyed this.
Same here.
Yeah.
Well, cool, but I'm not sure what else I can. I'm not sure what else I can teach.
Rock up there.
Yes. I'm not sure what else I can teach in the future. Like I can probably do anatomy, but I'm not even like perfect at anatomy enough to teach it. And frankly, it's quite boring.
It's all up to you, really. I mean, I didn't catch all of it. I only got kind of the end of this, but I got about a page of notes down, so I'm going to be looking over these quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
It's
same
cool.
here.
Recorded this. Do I have your consent to post this, Advos?
Yeah, you can post it if you want to. I'm not sure how much help it will actually be, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think this is very helpful as someone who doesn't know how to draw.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
sure
like as like someone who's beginning, I definitely say it's really helpful.
Okay, yeah, sure, then go ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we'll cover something that is not like that. Maybe I'll go over colors, but I don't know, color theory.
Don't worry, next
See,
week
that's
we'll
what I'm talking about.
flower sack.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You gotta animate a Flasac. Like,
Flower sack class, boys. And then the week after that, we'll learn how to animate a carton of eggs. And then
Cheeky cotton of egg.
we're gonna bake an entire cake,
Like-
boys.
you know, that's not the right one. Like in
Follow
my
these
first,
instructions, make this cake. Sorry.
in my first semester, I had to actually animate a Flasac like this.
Flower sack game,
It's so-
let's go, boys.
It's so full of life.
Yeah,
Damn.
every time I showed the rough to my supervisor, she would just say, you can try and exaggerate the pose a lot more, and so I had to go and revise it so many times. But
Oh, wow.
God.
What? It's a fucking flower sack.
I mean, the thing is,
Red.
because I've been reading I think it's Vilpoo's guide to drawing. Like, it's a thing about figure drawing and gesture, and there's a segment there regarding just cubes and stuff, and that you can give so much personality to something without like any arms or legs, eyes, or a mouth, just based on movement.
yep,
When I
You
watched
want a
the flower
perfect
sack
example of
video-
that.
like you really have to go and you really have to be able to push it to its extremes. That's why you have your extreme stretch and poses, your extreme overshoots and everything in animation. So even for a fucking Flasac, you can give it like a lot of animation, a lot of emotion.
Watching
And
this
energy.
Advos, it looks like something that would be in an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. I can hear all the trumpets and sounds.
God.
Yeah, and this also translates over to humans. Like this is my second semester project.
Oh, depressed Steve.
Like
Oh no.
you really try and push some of the poses. I have a very clear line of action and stuff like this. That's why you try and use that's why they always get us to animate the Flasac first. I think that's all I have.
Ring.
It's under half an hour, so I was like, oh, I'll subtitle it and make YouTube chapters. Like, it's really easy to break down. It's been a fucking hour and 10 minutes. God damn it.
I tried to keep it in an hour. Half an hour is definitely not going to be enough.
I got my voice back, so I'm allowed to talk now. Yahoo.
Yay!
We can get TA Shelby in here.
Yeah. I was doing
It's
it.
the funny Persona song again.
I've actually never had a TA. Never had a class with a TA.
No, I've actually TA'd for a class before.
Just saying things.
Hold on, I have a meme for this song.
I have the bot like
Oh, God.
really quiet, so I just hear it in the back of my ear, and I think I'm just hallucinating, but no, it's actually fine. Oh no, the recording's gonna have the specialist song on it.
My parents called me a mistake. Yeah, a mistake they made, idiot. Oh. I got the video for that, guys.
I don't have a racism problem. My racism works just fine.
Now that I got quiet, I could really hear the specialist now, so I'm actually not hallucinating.
I had a different Persona song playing.
I don't play Persona.
That's very interesting. It's not for everyone, though.
I've been meaning to. Oh god.
There you go.
My dad just. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh my god. Hold on, I had one more, but I lost it.
Ignore that. You didn't hear that.
I heard it. We all heard it.
I didn't want to interrupt the stream, so I've been on my phone looking at VC chat 2 the whole time. No, not more. Please.
Oh my god.
It's just turning into specialist themes now.
Let's see here. Do we have time for one more?
One more what?
Yeah, I think we do. Let's continue the curse of chat room.
Oh no.
You're gonna have to tap on that.
Honestly, it's insane seeing how quickly you can get a form with just
Oh god, the contest entry.
Yes.
I love it.
Spent 2 weeks making those camera angles.
Like, if there was a funny category, that would have ended up being the one I would have instantly gone for.
Remember what they took from you? The funny category.
First they take VC3 away from me, now the funny category.
Damn.
Oh no, Genshin Impact memes.
Let's see here. What are the contest entry? Let's see if they got anything I could participate in here. Let's see. Contests.
Universal constant.
Contest updates. Zoroark, most wholesome, most mischievous, most elusive. Wild card.
Oh, I wonder which one I'm getting. No! Don't get rid of promos, please.
No.
You can't. My power. my 1200 plus.
No, I swear to God, I will cancel you for that.
Oh god, what is this?
There you go.
Oh no.
Oh no, Joe Biden, not the end.
Oh no.
I actually almost got in trouble for posting this. get this. Get this. On a server I was on, someone deleted it, and I got a warning for posting a car accident. And
What
I told them,
What?
I told them it's a video game.
Oh my god.
What? Oh, the car accident.
They legit got in the car accident.
I mean, like, dude, if you got a DX racer for your your car too, like, damn, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, volume warning on max out.
Oh, fuck.
You can't blame me. I put the volume warning.
Oh, no.
Fuck, it's loud. It's getting even louder.
Scotland.
You guys like Breath of the Wild?
Cool.
Who's this one?
Oh my god. I remember this one.
It's a wee bit loud.
Oh
Oh no.
Jesus Christ.